My child, I need you to stop for a moment and listen to me with your whole heart. This is not just another message passing by your eyes. This is not something you stumbled upon by chance. I am speaking directly to you right now, and I am asking you something that will shape the direction of your life. Will you receive the miracle I am offering you, or will you choose to stay ordinary? Do not answer quickly. Do not brush this aside. Let the weight of this question settle deep inside you, because your response matters more than you realize. You have prayed for change. You have asked for breakthrough. You have whispered to me in quiet moments, asking for more than what you are currently living. You have felt the stirring inside your soul that tells you that you were created for something greater than routine, something greater than average, something greater than just surviving each day. That stirring is not your imagination. It is my spirit reminding you of the destiny I placed within you before you ever took your first breath. Now I am placing the choice before you. Will you step into what I have prepared, or will you remain where it feels safe and familiar? If you are hearing my voice right now, it is not by accident. I do not arrange moments randomly. I do not allow words to reach your heart without purpose. I have orchestrated this encounter because you are standing at a turning point, even if you do not fully see it yet. I know the thoughts you've been carrying. I know the doubts that have tried to shrink your vision. I know the fears that whisper that you are not ready, not qualified, not strong enough. But I also know what I place inside you. I know the strength you have not yet tapped into. I know the doors that are waiting for your obedience. I know the miracle that is closer than you think. Many will hear words like these and ignore them. Many will feel a moment of conviction and quickly silence it. Most people prefer comfort over calling. They prefer routine over risk. They prefer staying in the crowd rather than stepping into purpose. Most will scroll past, return to distraction, and convince themselves that greatness is for someone else. They will choose what feels normal. They will choose what feels average. And one day, when they look back, they will realize they settled for less than what I offered them. I do not want that regret to be your story. You were not designed to live a small life. You were not created to blend into mediocrity. I did not breathe my life into you so you could spend your days doubting, hesitating, and shrinking back. There's a calling over you that requires courage. There's a miracle prepared for you that requires faith. But faith always demands decision. It requires you to step forward when logic says stay. It requires you to trust when fear tries to hold you back. Right now, there's a battle happening inside you. One voice tells you to stay where you are. It tells you that average is safe. It tells you that stepping out can lead to failure. It tells you that you should wait for a better time. But there's another voice, quieter yet stronger, that tells you that this is your moment. That voice is mine. I am not shouting at you. I am inviting you. I am awakening you. I am reminding you that you have a choice to make. This moment will decide your future more than you understand. Not because everything will change overnight, but because the direction you choose today sets the path for tomorrow. If you continue choosing comfort over obedience, your life will remain predictable. If you continue choosing fear over faith, your growth will remain limited. But if you choose to trust me fully, if you choose to step into what I am calling you toward, then you will see things shift in ways you never thought possible. The miracle I speak of is not fantasy. It is not an emotional idea. It is something I have already begun arranging. I am aligning circumstances. I am preparing connections. I am opening doors that only require your willingness to walk through them. But I will not force you. I honor your freedom. I place the choice in your hands because love does not control. Love invites. Do not underestimate the power of this decision. Most people drift through life reacting to circumstances instead of responding to my call. They wake up, go through routines, chase temporary goals, and never pause to ask if they are walking the fullness of what I designed for them. You are different because you are hearing this now. You are being confronted with truth, and truth always demands a response. You may feel unqualified. You may feel unsure. But greatness in my kingdom does not begin with confidence in yourself. It begins with trust in me. It begins with surrender. It begins with saying, Lord, if you are calling me higher, I will follow. I do not require perfection. I require willingness. I do not ask for flawless strength. I ask for surrender hearts. Most will not make this choice. Most will settle. Most will remain average because stepping into purpose requires letting go of excuses. It requires discipline. It requires faith. But you are not most people. You are my child. You are called. You are equipped. And you are standing in a sacred moment of decision. Say, I stand unshaken in faith. If you're trusting him more than what you see, do not let fear disguise itself as wisdom. Do not let doubt convince you to delay. Delay is often the enemy's favorite tool. It sounds reasonable. It feels harmless, but delay slowly robs you of destiny. There are opportunities that are tied to obedience in this season. There are blessings that are connected to movement now, not later. This moment will decide your future because it reveals what you truly value. Do you value comfort more than calling? Do you value approval more than purpose? Do you value safety more than surrender? Or will you trust that the one who created you knows the path that leads to life? I am not asking you to leap blindly. I am asking you to step with me. I go before you. I stand beside you. I remain behind you. The miracle is not something you achieve alone. It is something you receive through faith and obedience. So I ask you again with love, but also with urgency. Will you receive the miracle or choose to stay ordinary? This is not about pride. This is not about fame. This is about walking in the fullness of what I have planned for you. This is about refusing to let fear define your limits. This is about saying yes to a life that reflects my power and my purpose in you. You are here for a reason. You are hearing this for a reason. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is your awakening. And what you decide right now will shape the days ahead in ways you cannot yet see. Choose faith. Choose obedience. Choose the path that stretches you. Choose the miracle. Before the foundations of the earth were laid, before the mountains rose and the oceans found their place, I had already decided something about you. I did not design you to be average. I did not shape your spirit so you could simply exist, move through routines, and disappear without impact. When I formed you in eternity, I formed you with intention, with purpose, with destiny written into your very being. You were never meant to blend into the background of life. You were created to reflect my glory in a way that no one else can. When I breathed life into humanity, I did not create copies. I created originals. I did not design souls to live small, fearful, and limited lives. I placed gifts inside each person, abilities that mirror my creativity and power. In you, I placed something specific, something unique, something that carries my fingerprint. And when you choose to live beneath the design, when you choose to settle for average, you are not simply lowering expectations. You are stepping away from the fullness of what I planned. You often compare yourself to others and think that average is safe. You look around and see people living ordinary lives, and you tell yourself that it is enough. You tell yourself that as long as you are comfortable, as long as you avoid failure, as long as you keep things stable, you are doing fine. But I did not call you to fine. I called you to fullness. I did not create you to merely get by. I created you to walk in purpose. There is a difference between surviving and fulfilling destiny. Surviving means you wake up, you go through the motions, you do what is required, and you make it through another day. Surviving means you avoid major risks. You protect yourself from disappointment, and you accept what feels manageable. It is not dramatic. It is not bold. It is safe. But survival alone is not the life I promised you. Fulfilling destiny is different. It requires faith. It requires stepping into spaces that stretch you. It requires trusting me when you cannot see the full picture. Destiny asks you to rise above fear and to believe that I have placed something inside you that the world needs. It asks you to refuse the lie that you are just another face in the crowd. Destiny calls you forward when comfort tries to hold you back. The lie of just enough living has become common in your world. You are told to aim for what is reasonable, to stay within limits, to not expect too much. You are encouraged to keep your dreams small, so you will not be disappointed. You are taught to manage life instead of pursuing calling. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to shrink your vision. You lower your expectations. You tell yourself that average is acceptable. But average is not what I see when I look at you. When I see you, I see the potential I planted within you. I see courage that is not yet fully awakened. I see wisdom that can guide others. I see compassion that can heal wounds. I see leadership that can influence lives. I see faith that can move mountains. But when you settle for just enough, when you accept the minimum, those seeds remain buried. You were not created to merely survive hardship. You were created to overcome it. You were not created to simply pay bills and pass time. You were created to reflect my character in the way you live, the way you speak, the way you love. There is purpose in your existence that reaches beyond daily routines. There's calling that extends beyond comfort. Think about the dreams you once had. Think about the moments when your heart felt alive with possibility. Those were not accidents. Those were glimpses of destiny. But over time, disappointment may have taught you to settle. Failure may have convinced you to aim lower. Criticism may have made you doubt your abilities. And slowly you began to accept less than what I prepared for you. I do not condemn you for that. I understand how fear works. I understand how wounds can shrink confidence. But I am reminding you now that your design has not changed. My plan for you has not been reduced. Even if you have chosen smaller goals, I still see the greater purpose. There is danger in just enough living because it numbs your hunger for more. When you convince yourself that average is acceptable, you stop pressing forward. You stop asking me for greater faith. You stop seeking growth. You become comfortable in limitation. And comfort can quietly steal destiny. You may say, Lord, I am grateful for what I have. And gratitude is good. But gratitude does not mean settling. Gratitude honors what I have given. Settling refuses what I am still offering. There's more for you than routine. There's more for you than playing small. There's more for you than hiding your gifts because you fear standing out. My eternal design for you included impact. It included growth. It included seasons of stretching and seasons of breakthrough. I knew you would face obstacles, but I also placed strength within you to rise above them. I did not write a story for you that ends in mediocrity. I wrote a story that reflects my power working through willing hearts. Surviving is about getting through the day. Destiny is about transforming the day. Surviving avoids risk. Destiny embraces faith. Surviving clings to what feels secure. Destiny trusts me with what feels uncertain. When you live only to survive, your world becomes small. Your focus narrows to avoiding pain. Your goals shrink to maintaining comfort. But when you step into destiny, your life expands. You begin to see beyond yourself. You begin to understand that your obedience can affect others. You realize that your faith can inspire those watching you. The lie of average tells you that you are not special. It tells you that your voice does not matter. It tells you that your gifts are ordinary. But I do not create ordinary souls. I create purposeful lives. Each person reflects a different part of my heart. And when you suppress what I place in you, the world loses something it was meant to receive. You fear that aiming higher may lead to failure. But even failure in obedience grows you. Settling in fear only shrinks you. I would rather see you step out in faith and stumble than remain hidden in comfort and never try. You were never meant to measure your life by the standards of the crowd. The crowd often chooses safety. The crowd often resists change. The crowd often criticizes those who step out. But you do not belong to the crowd. You belong to me. When you stand before me one day, I will not ask whether you blended in. I will not ask whether you avoided risks. I will ask whether you trusted me with what I gave you. I will ask whether you used your gifts. I will ask whether you stepped forward when I called. Just enough living may look peaceful, but deep inside it leaves a quiet ache. You feel it when you wonder if there is more. You feel it when you see others step boldly, and you question your own hesitation. That ache is not dissatisfaction with blessings. It is awareness of calling. My child, you were never created to be average. You were formed in love, designed with intention, and called to purpose. Surviving is not your final destination. Destiny is. The lie of just enough has kept you smaller than you were meant to be. But today, I am reminding you of who you are. You are capable of more because I am with you. You are stronger than fear because my spirit strengthens you. You are designed for impact because my hand shaped you that way. Do not settle for a life that simply passes time. Step into the life that fulfills purpose. Refuse the lie that average is enough. Remember your design. Remember your calling. Remember that when I created you, I did not create someone meant to hide. I created someone meant to shine, and I am still calling you higher. There is a danger in staying ordinary that you do not always see at first. It does not appear harmful. It does not look like rebellion. It feels calm, predictable, and safe. But comfort can quietly become a cage. When you choose to remain where nothing stretches you, where nothing challenges your faith, where nothing demands growth, you begin to slowly shrink inside without realizing it. Comfort zones can become spiritual traps. They feel warm. They feel secure. They protect you from embarrassment, from failure, from uncertainty. But they also protect you from transformation. They keep you from stepping into the places where my power would be revealed through your weakness. They keep you from experiencing the miracles that only happen when faith is required. A comfort zone is not always sinful, but it can become limiting when you refuse to leave it even after I call you forward. You tell yourself that you are being wise. You tell yourself that staying where you are is practical. You convince yourself that there is no need to risk anything. because things are stable. But growth rarely happens in total comfort. Strength is not built in ease. Faith is not developed in predictability. When you remain in what feels safe, you may avoid discomfort, but you also avoid destiny. Fear often disguises itself as wisdom. It speaks gently and sounds reasonable. It tells you to think carefully. It reminds you of past failures. It warns you about what can go wrong. It makes you believe that stepping forward is reckless. But true wisdom does not paralyze you. True wisdom aligns with my voice. Fear, on the other hand, focuses only on risk and ignores my promise. There have been moments when I whispered to you to take a step of faith. It was not loud. It was not dramatic. It was a gentle nudge in your spirit. You felt it. You knew it. But fear stepped in and began to list all the reasons why you should wait. It said you were not ready. It said the timing was wrong. It said you needed more proof. And instead of trusting me, you listened to fear and stayed where you were. Staying ordinary often begins with small hesitations. You postpone obedience. You delay decisions. You choose convenience over calling. Each delay feels harmless. Each hesitation feels justified. But over time, those small choices create a pattern. You become someone who hears my call, but does not respond quickly. You become comfortable with partial obedience. This is the danger. The more you delay, the easier it becomes to delay again. The more you ignore my prompting, the quieter it begins to feel. It is not because I stop speaking. It is because you grow accustomed to ignoring the invitation. Comfort becomes your default. Risk becomes something you avoid. There is also regret that comes from missing your moment. Regret does not always shout. It whispers in quiet moments. It appears when you see someone else step boldly, and you wonder what would have happened if you had done the same. It surfaces when you realize that time has passed and opportunities are no longer where they once were. Regret is not punishment for me. It is a natural result of ignoring potential. You were created with specific assignments in mind. There are people whose lives are meant to be touched by your obedience. There are doors meant to open because you chose courage. When you stay ordinary out of fear, it does not only affect you, it affects the impact you were meant to have. Fear convinces you that avoiding risk keeps you safe, but sometimes avoiding risk keeps you small. It keeps your faith shallow. It keeps your influence limited. It keeps your story unfinished. I did not design you to live a story that never leaves the first chapter. Comfort zones can also create spiritual laziness. When life feels manageable, you stop pressing deeper. You stop seeking me with hunger. You stop asking for growth. You settle into routine. Routine itself is not wrong. But when routine replaces passion, when habit replaces intimacy, when predictability replaces trust, you begin to drift. Come closer, and Jesus fills every empty place. If his love has healed your heart, the ordinary life often looks respectable. It looks calm. It looks balanced. But inside, there's a quiet awareness that you are capable of more. You may ignore it for a while. You may distract yourself. But that awareness returns. It returns when you lie awake at night, wondering if you're living fully. It returns when you sense that something greater is possible. You fear stepping out because you do not want to fail. But even if you fail while obeying me, you grow. Failure in faith refines you. But refusing to step at all leaves you unchanged. Growth requires movement. Destiny requires decision. Regret is heavier than risk. Risk lasts for a moment. Regret can last for years. When you look back on your life, I do not want you to see a pattern of hesitation. I do not want you to remember all the times you almost obeyed, but chose comfort instead. I want you to remember courage. I want you to remember trust. I want you to remember saying yes when fear said no. The danger of staying ordinary is that it slowly becomes your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who does not step out. You lower your expectations. You shrink your dreams. You stop imagining more. And eventually, you convince yourself that average is all you were meant for. But that is not true. You were not meant to hide behind safety. You were not meant to let fear decide your future. You were not meant to live cautiously while my spirit calls you boldly. There is also a cost to miscalling that you may not see immediately. Some opportunities are seasonal. Some doors are open only for a time. When I prompt you, it is often connected to timing you cannot fully understand. Delay can mean losing alignment with what I prepared. This does not mean I abandon you. It means certain paths require obedience in specific moments. When you repeatedly choose comfort, you limit what I can entrust to you, not because I want to withhold blessing, but because blessing requires readiness. Ordinary living feels easy today, but years from now, when you reflect on your life, you may ask yourself, What would have happened if I had trusted you more? You may wonder what relationships you could have healed, what dreams you could have pursued, what impact you could have made. That question carries weight. I do not speak this to create fear. I speak it to awaken you. I do not want regret to teach you what obedience could have shown you earlier. The comfort zone promises peace, but often produces stagnation. Fear promises protection, but it often produces limitation. Staying ordinary promises stability, but it often produces regret. Step beyond the trap. Recognize fear for what it is. Do not call hesitation wisdom when it is really doubt. Do not label comfort as peace when it is really avoidance. You have been sensing that there is more. That sense is not illusion. It is my call. I am not asking you to abandon responsibility. I am asking you to trust me beyond what feels predictable. The danger of staying ordinary is not that you will live a terrible life. It is that you will live a smaller life than I intended. And smallness may not hurt immediately, but over time it limits joy, impact, and fulfillment. I am calling you beyond average, not for pride, not for attention, but for purpose. I am calling you to step where faith is required. I am calling you to leave comfort when comfort becomes confinement. Do not let fear disguise itself as wisdom again. Do not let comfort convince you that you have arrived when you have barely begun. Do not let regret become the teacher that obedience could have been. There is more ahead for you, but more requires movement. More requires trust. More requires courage. And I am with you every step beyond the ordinary. Before you ever saw a sign, before you ever felt the stirring of expectation in your spirit, I had already begun preparing your miracle. I do not react to your prayers at the last minute. I do not scramble when you cry out for help. I work ahead of you. I arrange circumstances long before you recognize a need. What feels delayed to you has been carefully timed by me. What feels uncertain to you has already been ordered in ways you cannot yet see. The breakthrough you are praying for is not a distant possibility. It is already in motion. I have aligned conversations you have not yet had. I have positioned people you have not yet met. I have softened hearts that once resisted you. I have opened spiritual pathways that were once blocked. While you were worrying, I was working. While you were questioning, I was arranging. While you were doubting, I was building something behind the scenes. You often think miracles begin when you finally see them, but miracles begin in silence. They begin when I start moving pieces you do not notice. They begin when I shift something in the spiritual realm before it ever becomes visible in the natural. You are looking for signs in front of you, but I have already been preparing what is ahead of you. There are doors waiting for your obedience. Not doors that force themselves open, but doors that respond to your yes. I do not unlock everything at once because obedience must meet opportunity. When you step in faith, you activate what has been prepared. When you hesitate, you delay what is already ready. Understand this clearly. Your miracle is not being created today. It was prepared before this moment. I have been aligning it through your struggles, through your lessons, through your waiting seasons. The delay was not waste. The silence was not neglect. The closed doors were not rejection. They were part positioning. There were things you needed to learn. There were patterns that needed to be broken. There were distractions that had to lose their hold. Preparation often feels like frustration because you cannot see its purpose. But every season has been shaping you to handle what is coming. Spiritual doors do not always look dramatic. Sometimes they appear as simple opportunities. A conversation, a decision, a small act of courage. But behind those small steps are greater outcomes. I open doors that no one can shut, but I also wait for your willingness to walk through them. The miracle is not only about external change, it is also about internal transformation. I have been strengthening your faith quietly. I have been refining your character through hardship. I have been teaching you patience when you wanted speed. All of this is preparation for what is ahead. You may not feel the shift, but it is happening now. Even as you read these words, something is aligning. The spiritual atmosphere around you is not stagnant. I am moving. I am rearranging. I am positioning. What felt stuck is beginning to loosen. What felt blocked is beginning to clear. The unseen shift is often the most powerful. You cannot measure it. You cannot touch it. But you can sense it if you quiet your fear. The tension you feel is not random. It is the stretching before growth. It is the pressure before breakthrough. It is the quiet before acceleration. You have prayed for change, but change requires readiness. If I released everything at once, you would be overwhelmed. If I opened every door before you matured, you would stumble. So I have been preparing both the miracle and the messenger. The miracle is the breakthrough. The messenger is you. There are doors that require obedience to open fully. Obedience is not blind action. It is trust in my guidance. When I prompt you to forgive, it is because forgiveness clears space for blessing. When I prompt you to let go, it is because holding on blocks what is coming. When I prompt you to step forward, it is because standing still will not align with what I prepared. The miracle is already positioned, but obedience determines timing, not because I won't withhold, but because obedience protects you from mishandling what is sacred. You may think nothing is happening because your circumstances look the same, but spiritual shifts do not always show immediately. Seeds grow underground before they break the surface. Roots deepen before fruit appears. Growth happens in hidden places. Even now I am adjusting details you do not know exist. I am calming storms you cannot see forming. I am redirecting outcomes you feared. I am strengthening you for what is next. This is not imagination. This is movement in the unseen realm. The breakthrough you desire is closer than it appears, but it will not arrive through passivity. It will meet your participation. Faith is not waiting idly. Faith moves when prompted. Faith acts when directed. Faith trusts even without visible proof. There are spiritual doors that have been standing before you quietly. You sensed them. You felt the invitation. But hesitation held you back. Fear told you to wait. Doubt asked for more confirmation. But the door remains. It is still there, waiting for your decision. Do not underestimate this season. The shift is subtle, but it is real. Something is changing within you. You are becoming more aware, more sensitive, more ready. That readiness is not accidental. It is the result of everything I have been doing in your life. You have wondered if I heard your prayers. I did. You have wondered if I forgot your requests. I did not. I have been arranging responses in ways you could not predict. Sometimes the answer comes as a closed door. Sometimes it comes as a redirection. Sometimes it comes as strength to endure until the appointed time. The miracle is already prepared. It is not dependent on chance. It is not dependent on luck. It is connected to alignment. When your heart aligns with my direction, the prepared path becomes clear. There is also protection in preparation. I do not release breakthrough into chaos. I bring order first. I settle your heart. I adjust your priorities. I remove what would damage the blessing. All of this happens quietly, but it matters deeply. Type, guide my steps, Lord. If you're seeking his hand in your journey, and share this message with someone who needs to hear it. The choice is before you. The miracle is prepared. Will you receive it, or will you stay ordinary? This is your moment. Choose wisely.